Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We're here to talk about the song Lakinis Juice. I'm sure you saw the video that we made together, and a little surprise for the fans. And, what do you remember about making the song in Jamaica? Well, that's where we wrote it, and then we recorded it in New York, but, yeah, it was written in Jamaica.
Yeah. I remember playing Jay Healy, who was the producer of the record. We had a little recording set up, like a remote recording thing, to multi-track, and then we bounced down a mix. And at some point, it got sent to the record label. And I remember the record label saying, I think they thought that they'd send us to Jamaica and there'd be some like Jamaican sound or something, like reggae influence or something. And we sent them Lakinis Juice, and of course it doesn't sound like Jamaica at all. But to me, in my head, it sounds like That Room. So we rented a mansion, like a legitimate mansion. It came with a butler. His name was Trevor.
That's right outside of Montego Bay.
Yeah. And his job before that, he had worked for the Queen of England and had retired. And then he ran this household. And this is what rock stars do with rock star. Like, we had real rock star money then.
Those were the days.
So we rented this mega mansion. But to me, the sound of the whole experience is just the song of Lakinis. To Ed's credit, Ed gets some credit here because I wrote the original riff and the pre-chorus. I'd written that at my house on Wheatland Avenue in Lancaster, upstairs in this like little attic room, and that was during my drinking career. And I had polished off maybe several bottles of wine, and I passed out in that room, which I've never passed out in any room in my house ever before. And I woke up in the morning, and I had a little tiny, like one of those like old cassette recorders that like you'd see in like a elementary school. And I was like, what the hell was I doing last night? And for some odd reason, I rewound the tape and I pressed play, and Lakinis Juice played.
Wow.
And I played it
didn't
probably.
even know that.
I bet you I played just that riff for maybe 15 minutes straight. Like, because I can tell the problem is, you know this about my memory. My memory's like really weird. I'm dyslexic and stuff. And I kept on thinking I would forget it. So I forgot that I was even recording. I just kept playing it and playing it. I was like, this is great. Well, of course, then in sobriety, right, I heard it the next day and I was like, oh, that's just crap. This is terrible. And Ed had called me and said, well, what songs you're working on or whatever. And I had a bunch of little cassette tapes that I had IDs on. Just like each cassette would have one song. And I gave all the cassette tapes to Ed. And he was like, I don't know what this one's called, but I really like this one. And it was Lakinis Juice. And I remember thinking I was going to throw it away. I wasn't even going to give it to him.
Wow.
And then, so when we wound up in Jamaica, we had the verse and the pre-chorus. Ed had not written a melody for it yet or lyrics. It was just a good idea. And we kept playing through the pre-chorus. And then, like, we just could not have landed on a chorus.
I remember that, yeah. I remember I was like downstairs or something, and you were upstairs. You started playing that riff, and I was like, what the fuck is that? So I ran upstairs, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. Let's play.
So the chorus has to be one of the stranger choruses in all of pop music because it inverts itself. It's very strange. Like if you go and you play it, it starts on an open chord, like in musical theory, right? It's a one chord. It goes a one chord, and then it goes to a second chord, and then it goes back to the one chord, and then to essentially a fifth. So what's weird about that
Whatever
is
he said.
It's three chords, right? But played like a 4-chord progression.
Right, okay.
Well, let me tell you, that is, like, I don't know another pop song that quite goes like that. And to Ed's credit, he figured out how to write melodies over these very weird things. They're really, it's a really out there place to sing. Like even where he starts to sing, it's most singers would just sing like down on the one, like he waits. The evening hush. And I'm telling you, it's the perfect live song. First of all, Patrick plays in all of the verses, he plays off rhythm.
I know. Well, he plays that sliding like thing. And when he came up with that, I was like, that's freaking awesome. It was like, boom, boom, boom. It's so cool.
He just, I think that comes from him playing upright bass. Because it's almost like, remember, there were no strings yet. Patrick was the string section. And then when the pre-chorus came in, I had this, I just bought this 1964 Super Reverb amp, and I was very into the fact that it had this lush reverb and vibrato. And whenever we go into the pre-chorus section, I'd turn on the reverb and the vibrato, and it would like totally change the sound from being like all dried up to like lush. And in my head, that's where the orchestra was playing, like all those, that vibrato and the reverb and all that. And then finally, it was out of a moment of frustration. I just remember saying, well, it feels like it's building this tension, and it seems really obvious now, but it should just go, bah, and
I remember us playing it and get to that point where like, we got to do something here. Like, yeah.
It almost went away. Like, it was like one of those songs where, like, if we didn't get it when we got it, we were going to give up on it. Mm-hmm. Like, and just throw it away and move on to something else. But the second that we had that, I kind of knew that the record was written, like, meaning the album. I knew, like, the second that was done, I was like, it doesn't matter whatever else we do, we can be as creative as we want. That's very unique. And if, for the people watching this, so Lightning Crashes had obviously totally changed, the world of live just in becoming such a big song, especially from the standpoint of the record label, right? The record label's like, oh, that's great. If you can imagine, like secretaries and stuff in office buildings liked Lightning Crashes. And then we show back up and we're like, here's this song called Lakinis Juice, and it's going to be the first single.
Right, and then the video has a bunch of lard in it and stuff. Like
people picking numbers and to have sex with each other.
What's going on?
Yeah, we were.
Well, then we went to the studio, and you were just earlier talking about how the strings were recorded, and in New York and at the Hit Factory, and that was an amazing experience as well.
Doug Katsaris is the string arranger, and Doug was an award-winning composer for the television show, which was an animated show called The Tick. And Doug himself is like a really out there guy, and he sent me, we had a conversation over the phone. We had we sent the demo that we made while in Jamaica, because we hadn't recorded the record yet. We sent that demo to him, and he used a cassette recorder to record a Casio keyboard playing in his head what the string arrangement was. I was like, why didn't I save that tape? I don't know. It's probably cool somewhere.
Yeah.
But I heard the strings. I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And then Jay Healy and Doug worked to hire musicians. Most of them were from the New York Philharmonic, and we wound up with a 60-piece orchestra in the studio.
Cost a lot of money.
A lot. Twice as much as what Mental Jewelry cost to record is what the cost was to record that orchestra.
That's right.
And
rock star shit.
Yeah, that was. But I know this sounds weird, but it was worth it. Like, you can hear it on the record.
Yeah.
But the logic in putting an orchestra on such an obscure, weird, alternative song was to even get weirder. Like, we used the orchestra on two songs on the record. It was Turn My Head and Lakinis Juice. Turn My Head almost seemed obvious. Like, the string section alone could have played Turn My Head. We could have sat out, and it would have been a beautiful song. But it seemed really obscure to consider a song like Lakinis to put strings on it. It's really, and that really speaks to, that's what I was saying earlier. I started to say it's like the perfect live song. Like, the parts that you play, I mesh with you and link with you in a way that's so intricate and non-forced in some weird way, but they lock up. It's like gears locking together. That's why I'm putting my fingers that way. And then Patrick plays off of that, and it's a brilliant thing. Ed's vocal, of course, is incredible, and the lyrics are so odd. Oh, you remember him laying out, there was so off of this big room on the second floor of the mansion, there was a balcony. and Ed was laying on the Chase Lounge, and Trevor, the butler that I mentioned earlier, Ed was just yelling into the microphone, "More wine," like to Trevor, the butler.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know about that.
Like,
there it is.
I don't
More
think
wine.
it was really like a lyric per se. I
Right.
think he was yelling like, "More wine," and we were all like, "Oh my god, that's so
Yeah.
great! You got to keep that."
And I remember that you guys told me they were putting strings on Lakinis Juice, and I was like, "What? That song rocks. Why are we putting strings on it?" But then, of course, it's brilliant. So,
I think that's what the obvious thing would have been, to thicken it up with even more guitars or something. But that song is also part of the. I was on some purist rant at that time. I wouldn't allow my guitars to be overdubbed. So if you listen to the whole record, there's really only ever one guitar that plays front to back. Every so often, we might have sprinkled in something, but it's so raw, and that's part of the sound. I'll never forget the guys from the band Korn coming up, and I guess it was Monkey, and he was like, "Oh my God, we were so inspired by that song," and I was like,
cool.
"What?
Yeah.
Like Korn is listening to live?"
Hey, there you go.
But if you their drummer, by the way, is awesome. That dude, he's from Pennsylvania. He's not the original guy.
I was going to say the guy's with him now.
Yeah, the guy that's with him now is like insane. I think he's
Unfortunately,
from
I don't know his
Pittsburgh.
name right now.
I can't think of his name either, but he is. But we're going to put that on a subtitle.
PA
but
boy,
he
yeah.
is unbelievable. What a monster! He like kind of makes the band now. Anyway, people will be like, "What? He's listening to Korn." I listen to all kinds of weird stuff. Like whatever inspires me, I'm going to listen to. It doesn't matter.
Well, that is the story of Lakinis Juice. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out the video.